Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, I'm bringing you guys a SuperFlex mock draft from the 11th overall spot in a 12-team PPR league. Now, one of my subscribers, Dan, actually asked me to do this. He's a Patreon subscriber, so shout out to him and anyone who has gotten on my Patreon. If you guys want to get my Patreon, which has my draft guide on it, it is $7.50 per month for the month of August. So before we get into this, like I said, this is a SuperFlex league, but on Fantasy Pros, you got to go ahead and put it as 2 quarterback to make sure that it drafts like a super flex league, but just for all intents and purposes, it's a super flex league. But you want to draft the same way pretty much in super flex as well into quarterback, because you pretty much want a quarterback in both those spots the whole fucking year. So we got 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 2 wideouts, a tight end, flex, kicker, defense, and 6 bench spots, but in reality it's just 1 quarterback and 1 super flex as well. At any point, if you guys end up enjoying this video, please make sure to click that subscribe button down below. It's free, and I put out content every single day to help you guys win that 2020 Fantasy Football Championship. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. We're drafting up against Composite ADP, ESPN ADP, Fantax ADP, RT Sports ADP, and Composite Best Ball ADP. So let's get right into the draft. Obviously, this is taking much longer to load than normal, but it's a-okay because we are at the 11th spot of the draft, which is a spot that I actually prefer. I prefer to draft at the back half of the draft since I like to get those nice, good old turn picks. But in Superflex, it doesn't really matter as much since there are going to be some solid running backs falling our way in the first and second round due to the fact that a lot of quarterbacks are going to be going since the quarterback position is valued pretty much double or even 3 times more in a Superflex league. So first pick of the draft was Christian McCaffrey, followed by 2 quarterbacks of Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, and Derrick Henry. So a pretty typical start to the draft. Typically, you see Kyler and Dak go maybe closer to the edge of the first round, but overall, this is a very normal start to the draft. Sometimes you see Lamar first, sometimes you see Pat Mahomes first, but there's no real need to have an argument about that. You see Michael Thomas go at the 106, smack dab in the middle of all the rest of the picks. Pretty typical, which is actually pretty funny that Michael Thomas goes in the same spot in whether it's Superflex or regular leagues. He goes in the same area. So now we're going to go ahead here and look at who to pick. Now, I don't think any quarterback here would be worth picking in the first round, so we're going to go ahead and make sure we establish our running back core early and snag some running backs. So we could go wide receiver here, but personally, I just believe that the running back value will dissipate pretty fast. It won't dissipate as fast, but it will dissipate fast even in a Superflex league. So I want to go ahead and snag those guys early at the running back position. If I don't go with 2 here, it might just be 1 and a quarterback. So look at the board. Dalvin Cook is a not so fine pick because I just think that the guy is too injury prone. He is fine if you guys want to draft him, you want to believe in it, but if you draft him, you have to draft Alexander Madison. After that, CH is available. Kenyon Drake, Joe Mixon, Austin Eckler, Miles Sanders, Josh Jacobs, Nick Chubb, all a bunch of players that I actually like here at the 111 spot. I wouldn't really have too much of an argument with any guys, but I'm going to draft based off my rankings. I have Joe Mixon as a top 5 running back. I believe the Cincinnati offense is going to be humming this year. Their offensive line is much better because one of their offensive linemen, they draft high in the draft in the first round last year. They draft him right. His ass gets cursed because he joins the Bengals, and he gets hurt before the season even starts. So Joe Mixon is going to have a fresh start this year after having a super hot fire stretch down the season. And the fact is that team was just as dysfunctional as it gets last year. They had Andy Dalton starting, then they bench his ass for Ryan Finley on fucking Andy Dalton's birthday. Happy birthday, bitch. Sit on the bench. That's what they gave to him. Joe Mixon is going to be good this year, but I wouldn't argue with other picks going ahead of him either. So don't go ahead in the comments and have some type of a war over the pick. So now after we went Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook came, followed by Devontae Adams. So I know if I don't go quarterback here, I'm going to have to wait until the 3rd round, and a bunch will go. But hey, that's a-okay with me since I don't really want to pick Russell Wilson here at the 202. I think my team will look just okay getting a bunch of the middle round guys, getting a guy like Matt Ryan, who I think is top 5 potential, maybe matching him with Tom Brady or Matt Stafford. You want to make sure you get at least 3 quarterbacks, though, in this kind of a league. And make sure if you're the commissioner of a Superflex league to limit the quarterbacks to 4, since you don't want some asshole drafting like 6 of them and being the kingpin of the league since he has all the quarterbacks. So now we are going to draft yet another running back. Now, to me, the best pick here is Austin Eckler. Actually, that's a huge psych. It's Josh Jacobs because they have him buried here as the running back number 13. I personally believe he finishes far ahead of running back 13. I think that's some fucking dumbass rankings there. I think that Josh Jacobs has top 10 potential. They said they're going to give him at least 60 plus targets this season. That's what the coaches said. I believe it is possible for Josh Jacobs. Was an amazing rusher, could be the leading rusher of the NFL. And if he's getting that many targets, I see no reason why Josh Jacobs couldn't even flirt and be a first round pick. And we get him at the nice second round value. So now, like I said, a bunch of quarterbacks will likely go off the board here before it is our pick. So hopefully we have some nice ones there by the time it is our pick in the third round, because they're going to go like some hot tamales. After we went with Josh Jacobs, Tyreek Hill came off the board, followed by CEH, Deshaun Watson, and then his former teammate DeAndre Hopkins, followed by Julio Jones, Miles Sanders, Russell Wilson, Travis Kelce, Nick Chubb, Kenyon Drake, Chris Godwin, Aaron Jones, Austin Eckler, Matt Ryan, Leonard Fournette, George Kittle, Mike Evans, Kenny Golladay, Tom Brady, and Mark Andrews. Now, in SuperFlex leagues, I personally believe that the tight end position is really fucking stupid. You don't need to draft a tight end early in this kind of league. The quarterbacks are just so important. I don't understand wasting a pick high on a tight end in this kind of a league. Definitely want to wait in this type of a league. So now at the quarterback position, one of my favorite picks, Joshy Allen, is still here. I love Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills. Now I kind of shit talk him a little bit in these single quarterback leagues because, hey, at the end of the day, not too much of a difference between Allen and then some of the other quarterbacks. But Josh Allen is definitely going to stand out this year as he made some improvements. He gets an even better number one wide receiver in Stephon Diggs, like a wide receiver that he has never had in his NFL career thus far, a guy that is arguably a top 12 wide receiver in the NFL, and he gets him as his new toy for this year. The guy's awesome at rushing the ball, awesome at passing the ball. If he could just somehow control that fucking cannon of an arm and just throw it slightly shorter so that guys can actually catch the ball and the ball doesn't go flying over them and into the stands where no fans will be able to get it because there's going to be no fucking fans at the game. But Josh Allen is going to be able to be very good. 5 to 7 rushing touchdowns every single year. He gets a bunch of rushing yards, and he's a very safe play on a week in and week out basis. And I think that if Josh Allen is able to control that horse cock of an arm, he's going to be able to ball out usually like Kobe in 2020. So after we went Josh Allen, a quarterback run of Drew Brees, followed by Mr. Aaron Rodgers discount double check come off the board there. So now we have a real decision to make. Do we want to wait on quarterback and get our quarterback 2 and 3 to be guys like Cam Newton and maybe Kirk Cousins and Gardner Minshew, or do we want to go ahead and lock down Stafford here? Now, I find it very important, actually, in a 2-quarterback league to figure out when these guys' buys are, because you don't want to, if you're drafting 3 quarterbacks, you can't have 2 quarterbacks on the exact same buy, because then your team is obviously fucked in a Superflex league, because you really need a quarterback to start in that spot. Their points are just so much higher than the random wide receiver or running back you're going to be throwing in at that spot. So thus far through 3 rounds, we have Josh Allen, Joe Mixon, and Josh Jacobs, the 3 J's of fantasy football. So now it is time to go ahead and probably just draft a running back or a wide receiver here and wait on a quarterback instead of going Carson Wentz or Matthew Stafford. I just personally believe our team will look the best if we were to do that. So we're going to wait on running back and not go Gurley and just wait until hopefully the next round it should be more clear at running back, because I don't really like Gurley. I'm really against drafting Gurley since he has the limp. He's not going to be playing too well this year. It's not even that he's not going to play too well. It's that the team isn't playing to where Todd Gurley probably wants the ball it to be like a 40% run split team, but no, they're a 30% run split team. They were the least run heavy team in the NFL last season. I don't expect it to go up all that much more. At wide receiver, Allen Robinson, DJ Moore, Adam Thielen, Robert Woods, all Cooper Kupp, all good picks here. You can go ahead and pick your poison there. Personally, I prefer to go with DJ Moore. Here's my highest ranked wide receiver, but in yesterday's video, I went with DJ Moore. So we're going to go ahead and diversify and go with a bit more of a not a risky pick because I like him, but go with Adam Thielen, wide receiver of the Minnesota Vikings. I think that Adam Thielen is going to have a great season with you like that, Kirk Cousins in 2020. I think they're going to run the ball slightly less, and I think that they're going to be able to pass the ball a decent amount, and without Stephon Diggs being there, Adam Thielen is really going to be ripped loose this season for the Minnesota Vikings. We know Adam Thielen has been able to do that in the past. My freshman year of college in 2018, Adam Thielen was one of the best wide receivers in fantasy football and was like the number 1 guy for the first 8 weeks of the season, so he can definitely do it. He was able to do it with Stephon Diggs, but now he's going to be able to do it without Stephon Diggs on the team. After Adam Thielen, we see Amari Cooper come off the board, followed by Todd Gurley, Allen Robinson, Zach Ertz, Odell Beckham Jr., DJ Moore, Chris Carson, Juju Smith-Schuster, Carson Wentz, Robert Woods, Matthew Stafford, Cortland Sutton, Le'Veon Bell, Cooper Kupp, Kupp, Daniel Jones, Melvin Gordon, Cam Newton, David Johnson, A.J. Brown, and Jared Goff. So we may have made a bit of a mistake since a lot of quarterbacks did come flying off the fucking board before he picked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I honestly did not really expect that at all. Some picks that I dislike here. I don't like Amari Cooper in the 4th round since he's too hot, too cold in some games. Odell Beckham Jr., I just think the team's going to run the ball too much. Cortland Sutton, I just think there's too many cooks in the kitchen there. Robert Woods is a pick I really like. Juju's a pick that I don't love, but I don't hate. I'm just in the middle of him. I'll probably have him in some leagues. We'll probably just pass over him in others. Same feeling with A.J. Brown. Not really liking him too much, not really hating him too much. So I'm kind of indifferent on those two players. So now looking at the board here at quarterback still available. Big Ben, Ryan Tannehill, Baker Mayfield, Joe Burrow, Kirk Cousins, Jimmy Guap, Gardner Minshew. So here, we're going to go ahead and make sure I get a guy that I feel like is safer here. And then with our holy tits McGee, I don't know what that noise was. I think someone just subscribed to my channel. I don't think you guys could actually hear it. But I got an alert on OBS, and I absolutely shit myself, but that'll be pretty funny to watch in the video, so I'm not going to edit it out. So here, we are probably going to go ahead and draft a quarterback that I feel like could be safe, and that is Big Ben Roethlisberger of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I know there's obviously concerns with his foot, with his injury, considering the guy just seems to get hurt every year, but at the end of the day, I want to get a guy that I know has top 12 potential and could be a top 12 quarterback the whole season long, and then go with more of an upside pick later. So as long as Big Ben doesn't have a bye week 11, which he does in his bye week 8, I'm going to go ahead and draft Big Ben. The guy has slimmed down for the season. He was looking like extra thin. Like normally Big Ben's extra thick. Right here he's extra slim, looking slim as fuck. So I think he's in game or in season form. I think he's going to look good this year in Pittsburgh. After that we see Keenan Allen followed by Calvin Ridley. So if you guys have enjoyed this video thus far, please make sure to click that subscribe button down below. It's free and I put out so much content every single day and all week to help you guys really get that edge to win your league. So now we have our 2 quarterbacks. Our roster is pretty well balanced. We got 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, and 1 wide receiver. So here we're probably going to go ahead and get that running back depth because it is even just as important in a 2 quarterback league. So here we are stuck at this choice that we're stuck in with every draft. James Conner, Jonathan Taylor, David Montgomery. It's pick your poison. You want the fucking guy who's going to probably not play for the first couple of weeks but has the highest upside in Jonathan Taylor. Now he's going to play, but he's not going to be able to be play worthy of your lineup because he's not going to get enough snaps as your flex, so you're probably going to have to bench him as your flex for the first couple of weeks. Do you want James Conner? Injury risk, top 12 guy if healthy. David Montgomery didn't really do much last year. Definitely the safest pick here, but has the potential to kind of take a shit, even though I don't think he will. I think the team will just look so much better under 9-inch Nick Foles that David Montgomery really elevates his game. So you can really go with anyone here. I've been going with Jonathan Taylor a lot, so we're going to go ahead and go with the safe pick here and go with David Montgomery since I know for a fact I could start him for the first 4 weeks of the season, and I want to make sure that my team is safe here because Jonathan Taylor is a bit of a risk. As a rookie, obviously that's a baked-in risk, especially with no training camp. While I think he'll be great, I also think David Montgomery has that potential as well, so that's who we are going to go with here as our 6th round pick and as our flex of our team. So now it's going to take a decent amount of time for it to be our pick yet again. Obviously, if this was a real league, but we're on Fantasy Pros Draft Wizard, it goes super fast. So now we're going to go ahead and analyze what happened after our picks of Big Ben Roethlisberger and David Montgomery. What's funny is Big Ben goes like undrafted in a lot of leagues, but in a 2-quarterback league, he gets drafted in the 5th fucking round. So after David Montgomery, we see James Conner followed by DK Metcalf, Jonathan Taylor, Tyler Lockett, Baker Mayfield, DJ Chark, Devontae Parker, Ryan Tannehill, Darren Waller, Stephon Diggs, Evan Ingram, Eze, T.Y. Hilton, Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin really falling deep down in this draft. He's a guy that has top 12 potential. Hollywood Brown, Tyler Higbee, Kirk Cousins, Joseph Burrow, AJ Green, Tyler Boyd, and Cam Akers. The whole Cincinnati offense going picks back to back to back. So now if we look at a team, this team went with 2 quarterbacks late. So we're going to actually analyze this team and talk about it because that is a strategy that you could utilize. This team also used a different strategy of getting 2 guys earlier. We went with getting one kind of like in the middle, getting 2 guys in the middle there of the draft. So looking at the team that went with 2 quarterbacks later, Michael Thomas, Julio Jones, George Kittle, Odell Beckham Jr., Melvin Gordon, Baker Mayfield, Kirk Cousins. This team is a complete miss. You should not have went 2 wide receivers in a row and drafted Odell and George Kittle. It just makes no sense. You need running back depth. Doesn't have any at all. Could have easily have had Michael Thomas, Miles Sanders. That team would look far better. And then Kittle, Odell, and it would just look so much better. The team here that went 2 quarterbacks early, Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson, then Galladay, Robinson, David Johnson, Jonathan Taylor, and A.J. Green I like much more than that other team. But obviously these guys are both taking players that I don't really like, really not on board with A.J. Green, not really on board with T.Y. Hilton as well, or Devontae Parker here. Those are 3 guys at the wide receiver position that I'm really staying away from this season. So now we are wide open to go running back or wide receiver here. At wide receiver still available, Jarvis Landry, Julian Edelman, Michael Gallup, Marvin Jones, Will Fuller. At running back, Mark Ingram, Kareem Hunt, Devin Singletary, DeAndre Swift, Raheem Mostert, James White. To me, there's one clear pick here, and that is Julian Edelman, wide receiver of the New England Patriots. Now I understand he no longer has Tampa Bay Tom Brady to throw him the ball. The guys are best buds, but at the end of the day, it's not going to matter. Cam Newton is going to throw it to the best wide receiver out there, and the best wide receivers out there are N'Keal Harry and Julian Edelman. Julian Edelman's been a top 12 guy in the past, now getting an extreme discount, and this is a PPR league. He is a PPR fiend, and I think Julian Edelman will really have a good season again at an extreme discount in the 7th round. So after we went ahead, we went with Julian Edelman. Devin Singletary came off the board, followed by Jarvis Landry. Now, Jarvis Landry is likely to start the season on the PUP and not play the first couple of weeks of the season, is the reports. Now, he could go ahead and play week 1, but the reports are he could miss some time, so I would not want to really draft him there. Devin Singletary, I just don't think I think he's a good player. I just don't think he's in the right situation there in Buffalo to flourish with Zach Moss sniffing behind his ass, as well as the guy we drafted, Josh Allen, just vulturing a lot of touchdowns from the running back position. And they brought in Zach Moss, who's a big-bodied guy who they could really use easily on the goal line if they want to score. So now, looking at the board, we're probably going to go ahead here and snag a running back. Now, there is actually a couple of picks here. Now, I'm really against Mark Ingram, but I have not drafted him in a single league, so I'll probably end up with him on one league. I just think a lot of his production last year, well, I don't just think, I know a lot of his production last year was based off of that touchdown total. I expect the touchdown total to go down since I don't think they're running the ball as much, and that obviously is going to hurt his production, and he won't be as good. The pick I like here most is the teammate of the guy we just drafted, and that is James White. But I also like Kareem Hunt a lot with the upside in Cleveland, especially like I just talked about. If Jarvis Landry is missing time, we could see Kareem Hunt actually run out and do a bunch of plays as a wide receiver. And I like Kareem Hunt here definitely if Nick Chubb was to go down. Literally top 5 running back, but Nick Chubb has not missed a single fucking game in his first 2 years in the NFL, so don't prey on the fact that that's going to happen. But I think that Kareem Hunt could really tear it up this year, just as the backup running back, especially in a very run-heavy system in Cleveland that Kevin Stefanski, new head coach, is going to implement for that roster. So looking after we went ahead and drafted Mr. Julian Edelman and Kareem Hunt, we can see that, let's see real quick, that Jimmy Garoppolo came out the board, followed by Will Fuller, Michael Gallup, DeAndre Swift, Drew Lock, or no, not DeAndre Swift, Mark Ingram, Drew Lock, Brandon Cooks, Deebo Samuel, Marvin Jones, Gardner Minshew. I should have drafted him earlier. I kind of done goofed right there because I really wanted Gardner Minshew to be my quarterback 3. He's a guy that I see with top 15 potential. Followed by Raheem Mostert, Pittsburgh Steelers defense, James White, Deontay Johnson, Christian Kirk, Sony Michel, 49ers defense, Emmanuel Sanders, Darius Slayton, and John Brown. Now, I think if you want to draft the Miami Dolphins quarterback room, you're going to end up being a bit pissed off because I really have no idea how it's going to work. And I don't think anyone, even Brian Flores, head coach of the Dolphins, knows what the fuck is going to happen there. So I think going with Fitzmagic or Tua, if you don't draft them both, you're probably going to be very disappointed because Tua might play 0 games. I think he plays like 5. I think Fitzmagic starts a couple. I don't fucking know, to be honest with you, so I would just stay away from that situation. If you're looking for a backup quarterback, I will wait probably until next round to draft them, but I need to make sure that I get 3 ones that I feel like are going to be starters for the whole season. So looking at the board now, we do have 4 running backs. We only have 2 wide receivers, so we're going to go ahead and snag another wide receiver here in the 9th round and go with one of my favorite late round targets of Anthony Miller of the Chi-Town Bears. Miller's a guy who went from 54 targets in his rookie season to 85 in his sophomore campaign last year. I expect the target numbers to go higher, as well as the reception numbers to go higher, because now instead of Mitch Trubisky, it's going to be 9-inch Nick Foles throwing him the ball. I expect a nice breakout season from Anthony Miller this season in 2020 in Chicago. He had multiple games last season where he was a startable wide receiver, and I think this year we see many more out of Mr. Anthony Miller. So after that, we see Philip Lindsay come on the board, followed by Hunter Henry. So now it is time to snag our third quarterback before we even have a tight end on our roster. And I want to go ahead here. If you want to go safe, I actually think Teddy Bridgewater is a really safe quarterback too, as is Phillip Rivers. I think Derek Carr is the high upside pick here, but I want to go with a safe pick since I feel like Big Ben could get hurt. So we're going to go ahead here and draft Teddy Bridgewater of the Carolina Panthers. We do not have DJ Moore because we didn't draft him. It would have been nice to actually have drafted him, realistically looking back, and have Teddy and DJ Moore on the same team. Since stacks do work well if the team plays well, but if the team plays bad, it completely fucks you over. So, it's a nice double-edged sword you got there that might get shoved straight up your ass if they play bad. So if you guys have enjoyed thus far, please make sure to click that subscribe button down below. But Teddy Bridgewater is going to be the pick here. I think it's going to be nice and safe this year. Not some super guy who really has quarterback one potential on any given week, but a guy that's a nice floor play at quarterback to be your super flex. If Big Ben or Josh Allen were to go down, you wouldn't be too mad at the position there. So looking at the draft board after we went ahead and picked Teddy Bridgewater, old man Phillip Rivers came out the board, followed by Justin Jefferson, Jamison Crowder, Ronald Jones, Matt Breida, Baltimore Ravens defense, CD Lamb, Tariq Cohen, Kerryon Johnson, and then Buffalo Bills defense. Don't be drafting defense early. Sammy Mano, Kid C, Ghost, Sam Darnold, Henry Ruggs, Sterling Shepard, me, Cole Hardman, Derrick Henry, Jalen Hurts, Tua, Jerry Jeudy, Mike Williams, and Darrell Henderson. How the fuck does Jalen Hurts get drafted ahead of Tua Tagovailoa? I think I just said his name wrong because I don't know, I'm a bit tired. It's late at night, but what the fuck is that, man? Jalen Hurts ahead of Tua. What the fuck are they smoking over here on Fantasy Pros? That's very crazy, considering there's other guys who are legitimately actually the starter of the team, like Nick Foles, like fucking Ryan Fitzpatrick. What the actual fuck just happened? So now it's time to go ahead here and draft our tight end and snag my boy Hayden Hurst. We don't have a tight end yet. Hayden Hurst, talk about him in every video because I draft him in every video. The Atlanta Falcons were the most pass-heavy team in the NFL last year. I have no reason to believe they won't be the most pass-heavy offense again in 2020. The tight end Austin Hooper had a great season. It's just like fucking throwing one guy in, throwing one guy out, putting a new guy in. Dirk Carter loves the tight end. Hayden Hurst is going to have a fantastic year. I can see it already. I looked at the crystal ball. I gave it a nice rub and tug, like you're with Robert Kraft. Give it a nice tug, and it told me that that is what is going to happen. So now it's time to snag probably another running back or wide receiver here. The quarterbacks have really diminished. I'm happy just drafting 3 here, considering I don't really love any of these guys unless Foles was to fall to me in the next round. So here we're going to go ahead and draft a running back that I actually have a decent amount of love for. Now, there's 2 videos in a row where I draft Jordan Howard. Now, I know I'm wearing the Dolphins shirt. I know you might be thinking, oh, Nick, you only fucking draft him because he's a Dolphin. I'm the contrary of that. I don't just draft guys because they're on my team. I typically stay away from guys on my team, especially since I know the Dolphins haven't been super hot the last couple of years, but I think Jordan Howard has the potential to be very good this season for the Miami Dolphins. He's been a 1,000-yard rusher 2 times in his career, and I think if Flores gives him the opportunity there in Miami, he could really have a fantastic-looking season here this year in 2020. Looking at the board after we went with Jordan Howard, his teammate Preston Williams came out the board, followed by J.K. Dobbins, Robbie Anderson, Zach Moss, Marlon Mack, Jalen Reagor, Latavius Murray, Tevin Coleman, Alexander Mattison, and sadly the dumbass who drafted Dalvin Cook didn't draft Alexander Madison, even though they're must-haves. They go together like fire and ice, like you and clicking the subscribe button on my channel. Winky face, that was pretty fucking funny. Golden Tate, Duke Johnson, Curtis Samuel, Tyrod Taylor, Rob Gronkowski, Darius Geis, Alshon Jeffrey, N'Keal Harry, Jared Cook, Austin Hooper, and Adrian Peterson. So now it is our pick here, and we might just snag one more quarterback with our last pick. Now it's a toss-up here between 9-inch Nick and Dwayne Haskins. I know for a fact Haskins is the starter. I know that Nick Foles should be the starter. I think Dwayne Haskins probably has more upside. Nick Foles probably the more safe pick. So we're going to go ahead here and draft the high upside pick of Dwayne Haskins and hope he really improved in the summer like I think he did and become a great quarterback under Mr. Riverboat Ron in Washington this season. So now it is our turn to go ahead and look at the draft board after we went with Haskins. Fant came out the board, followed by Tony Pollard. So it's our pick again here with our final pick before we have to go ahead and pick a defense and kicker. So we're going to go ahead and snag a wide receiver here. And there's a bunch of guys I like here. Randall Cobb. I like Chenault. I like Lazard. I like Perryman. I like Ayuk. I like Pittman. Here we're going to go with Pittman, a guy I haven't talked about too much now. He's not my favorite pick here. Now, typically, I'd pick Lazard, Ayuk, Perryman, any of those guys here, but we're going to go with Pittman this time. High upside pick out of Indianapolis, especially since the reports out of camp is T.Y. Hilton Not looking super hot. Pittman, obviously the hot draft pick. Drafted before Jonathan Taylor actually for the team, but they were drafted in the same round, so it's not a big whoop-de-doo. Obviously, I doubt Jonathan Taylor's panties aren't a bunch about that. Michael Pittman, a good wide receiver in college, and could be the wide receiver one potentially for Mr. Phillip Rivers in Indianapolis, so definitely has some high upside late in the draft, even as a rookie. So now we're going to go ahead and draft our defense and kicker. But before that, we're going to recap what happened. Boston Scott, Antonio Gibson, Nyheim Hines, Justin Jackson. Call me Miss Jackson. I want to feel. I think those are the lyrics to that song. That song's probably older than me. After that, we see Jarrett Stidham, Chase Edmonds, Damian Harris, Patriots defense, A.J. Dillon, Jamal Williams, Big Dick Nick Foles, Taysom Hill, Sammy Watkins, Justin Tucker the fucker, Devontae Freeman, Justin Rothweiser, Colin Kaepernick, who's not even on a team. I don't understand why people draft people who aren't on a team. It's nothing against fucking Kaepernick. I'm just talking about players in general. People are drafting all these guys that aren't even on teams. Someone probably drafted Darius Geis. Darius Geis legitimately did unspeakable things to that fucking girl, and people are still drafting him. It's not even real people. We're just drafting against the computer, so I guess it makes sense. So now we're going to go ahead and draft a kicker and a defense. First, we're going to go defense. We're going to go with the Chargers based on their matchup week 1 against the Bengals. You want to draft the defense based on their matchup week 1. You cut them week 2, get a new one. Or you cut them after week 1 and get a new one week 2 with playing a defense, playing a shitty offense. It's actually much easier to do than you would think, and I make videos about it every single week during the season to help you out even more. And then we're going to go with third leg, Greg Olsen of the Dallas Cowboys going up against, or not even going up against anyone because he's just our kicker. A bunch of kickers and defenses went to finish out the draft. We got a B for this draft, but for me, in my mind, it is an A because we did very nice in this draft. So our roster is Josh Allen, Big Ben, Joe Mixon, Josh Jacobs, Adam Thielen, Julian Edelman, Hayden Hurst, and David Montgomery. Our defense is the Chargers, and our kicker is Greg Zuerlein. Our bench is comprised of Kareem Hunt, Anthony Miller, Bridgewater, Jordan Howard Haskins, and Michael Pittman. So thank you guys all for watching this video. If at any point you ended up enjoying, please make sure to click that subscribe button down below. I love each and every single one of you motherfuckers, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with yet another banger of a video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope this helped all the people who are new to SuperFlex or just wanted to watch a video about SuperFlex. I love you all. Good boy.